All right, get ready to dive deep as we explore the fascinating world of Entropia Universe.
A virtual world where your in-game treasures can actually turn into real-world cash.
Now, they've gone and added AI NPCs to the mix, and the player forum is, well,
It's exploding with reaction.
pages and pages of feedback and suggestions.
What I find so interesting is that the developers, Mindark, they didn't just add the AI and say,
Deal with it.
right, exactly. They specifically asked players, hey, what do you think about this? How can we improve?
And the players definitely let them know,
They did not hold back. It's like,
throwing open the doors to the development lab.
and saying, all right, everyone, let's brainstorm this thing.
So today, we're going beyond just what players liked or disliked. We're looking at their suggestions.
Are these suggestions brilliant? Are they crazy? Could they even work in the game? That's what we're here to find out.
First, let's rewind a bit. We have to remember that Entropia Universe has this unique real cash economy.
Right, so anything that could mess with that balance is going to make players nervous. Understandably. So what were the first impressions?
Yeah, were players excited about these AI helpers, or were they more like, we'll see?
It was a real mix, honestly. Some players were thrilled right off the bat, especially those who found the AI NPCs genuinely helpful.
Okay, so what kind of helpful stuff were they doing?
Well, there were quite a few players who mentioned using the NPCs for directions.
Ah, that makes sense. I mean, Entropia Universe is huge.
It's massive.
It's so easy to get lost, especially in those virtual forests. I've been there, done that.
So having an AI to point you in the right direction.
Saves a lot of time and frustration, especially for new players.
Exactly. It can make the game feel less overwhelming.
More approachable. But it sounds like not everyone was sold on the idea.
Right. Some players were definitely more hesitant. Their concerns were really interesting, though. One big one was the potential impact on the game's social scene. You see, Entropia Universe has a really strong community.
It's known for that. And some players were worried that these AI NPCs might actually discourage players from interacting with each other.
Exactly. Instead of, let's say, asking another player for help, you just go to the AI, the all-knowing AI.
Right. I could see how that could feel isolating.
That's what a lot of players were saying. For them, the heart of Entropia Universe is the community, those real interactions between players.
Which leads us to the suggestions. Players didn't just complain, they came up with solutions.
Yes. What were some of those standout ideas for either improving the AI NPCs or maybe finding alternative ways to accomplish what they're meant to do?
Yeah, give us the good stuff.
One that came up again and again was a player-run mentoring system.
Interesting. So instead of AI, new players could connect with experienced players who could offer more personalized advice and support.
Exactly. Like a veteran player taking a newbie under their wing, showing them the ropes.
That's cool. It really taps into that community spirit that Entropia Universe is known for.
Right. And many players felt like this kind of system wouldn't just be more helpful, but also more rewarding.
For both sides.
It creates that sense of connection and purpose, something that's hard to replicate with an AI.
But I'm curious, how would they actually implement something like that? Would it just be organic, players finding each other? Or would there be some kind of structure?
Well, players had ideas about that too. Some suggested a dedicated in-game channel for mentor requests. Others proposed a system of badges or rewards for mentor.
Like an incentive.
Exactly. They even talked about designing specific quests that encourage players to team up and help each other.
So they're thinking about the logistics, the actual game mechanics.
They're thinking like game designers.
Impressive. But let's say you just need a quick answer, like directions.
Yeah.
Did players have suggestions for how the AI NPCs could be improved in those situations?
Oh, tons. And some of them get pretty technical, which, makes sense considering the Entropia Universe players. One common complaint was about the AI giving inaccurate information, particularly when it came to the game's complex mechanics.
Stuff like crafting, hunting strategies, those kinds of things.
Exactly. One specific example that kept popping up was something called tier fractions.
Tier fractions. Can you explain that?
So items in Entropia Universe are grouped into tiers, and within each tier there are these fractional values
I see.
that determine how effective an item is.
Sounds complicated.
It is. It's pretty intricate, and apparently the AI NPCs were getting these tier fractions mixed up.
So they're giving players bad information.
Basically, yeah. Which is a big deal in a game where even small details can really affect your success.
Definitely. So players were basically asking Mindark to make sure the AI has all its facts straight.
To fine-tune its knowledge.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to rely on a guide who's giving you the wrong directions, right? Now, besides accuracy, were there any other suggestions for making the AI NPCs more user-friendly?
One interesting idea was to give players more control over the AI's level of detail. So some players wanted short-to-the-point answers, like, just tell me the directions, nothing else, while others preferred more in-depth explanations.
So like different settings. Tourist mode for the quick overview, expert mode for the deep dive.
Exactly. It's all about personalizing the experience.
Tailoring it to different players and their play styles. I like it. This is so much more insightful than just hearing players like this or players didn't like that. We're getting into the specifics.
We're hearing what they want to see changed and how they envision it working in the game, and we've only scratched the surface.
There's more.
Oh yeah. Players didn't shy away from suggesting some truly ambitious features, like AI-led dynamic quests.
Oh, okay, now that sounds interesting.
And even AI factions.
AI factions. Now we're talking.
But we'll get into those a bit later. What do you think overall about the tone of the feedback?
Yeah, was it mostly positive, negative, or somewhere in between?
You know, it was surprisingly positive. Even those who had concerns, they were still offering solutions, engaging in thoughtful debate.
So it's not just AI's ruining the game. It's more like, hey, we love this game. Let's make sure this new feature makes it even better.
Exactly. It really shows the passion and dedication of the Entropia Universe community. They're not just players.
They're actively involved in shaping the game's future.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating. We're not just listening to complaints or praise. We're seeing a community come together, brainstorming, collaborating, pushing the boundaries of what's possible in this virtual world.
It really makes you think about the role of players in game development these days. It's not just about playing the game anymore, it's about contributing to its evolution.
Right, so we've covered initial reactions, those concerns about social impact, and some of the suggestions for improving how the AI NPCs work on a basic level. Now let's get to the really exciting stuff.
The ambitious ideas.
The visionary, potential game-changing ideas.
You ready to dive into the deep end?
Absolutely, let's do it.
All right, so let's talk about those suggestions that really push the limits. Some players, they went way beyond just tweaking the existing AI NPCs.
Yeah.
They were picturing completely new ways AI could be integrated into Entropia Universe.
This is where we see the Entropia Universe players really thinking outside the box. What were some of the big ones?
One of the most popular suggestions was this idea of AI-led dynamic quests. So imagine quests that aren't just static,
Right.
not just pre-programmed. They actually adapt and evolve based on what you do in the game.
So instead of following a set path, the quest could branch out in different directions.
Exactly. The goals, the challenges, even the rewards could all be influenced by your decisions. It's like having a totally personalized adventure.
Okay, now I see why people are so excited about this. It could add a whole new level of replayability to the game.
Absolutely. Even if you've done a quest before, you could play it again and have a completely different experience.
Because the AI is tailoring the quest to how you play.
And that's not all. Players were imagining systems that could, like, analyze your skills, your gear, even your past behavior in the game, to create quests that are truly challenging and engaging, just for you.
It's like the AI is learning about you as you play, and using that knowledge to make the game more rewarding.
That's the idea.
But that sounds incredibly ambitious from a technical perspective.
Oh, it is. You'd need AI systems that could really understand the game world, like the rules, the lore.
Right.
Be able to generate stories on the fly. And even balance the difficulty so it's not too easy or too hard.
That's a lot to ask.
It is. But the potential payoff for players is huge.
Yeah. Dynamic quests could really breathe new life into the game.
Totally. And don't forget about the storytelling aspect. Imagine AI that can actually craft compelling narratives, introduce you to memorable characters, create those moments of surprise and wonder.
Like a dungeon master.
Exactly. But let's move on to another big one that had people talking, AI factions.
Oh, yeah. AI factions. This is where it gets interesting. What's the deal with that?
So picture this.
Yeah.
Entire factions within Entropia Universe, but they're controlled by AI, not players.
Okay.
These factions, they'd have their own goals, motivations, strategies.
Just like player-run factions.
Exactly, so you could be negotiating with them, forming alliances, even going to war with them.
Wow. That would totally shake things up.
Right. Players were imagining these scenarios where AI factions would, like, clash over resources.
Yeah.
Form temporary alliances, maybe even betray each other if it suits them. It'd be this constantly evolving political landscape.
The game world would have a mind of its own.
Kind of, yeah. And it would make the game so much more strategic. Players would have to constantly adapt.
Because you never know what the AI is going to do.
Right. Now, again, like with the dynamic quests, this is a massive challenge for developers.
Technically speaking.
Yeah. You'd have to create AI that acts realistically, makes smart decisions, decisions that players can't just easily predict and exploit.
That's a tall order.
It is. And then there's the whole issue of balance.
Right. You don't want the AI factions to become too powerful.
Exactly. It has to be carefully balanced so they're challenging, but not impossible to deal with. They should enhance the game, not take over.
So, huge potential rewards if the developers can pull it off, but also a lot of risk involved.
Definitely. And we can't forget about the economic impact. If AI factions are controlling resources, influencing trade routes, that's going to affect player markets.
Oh, for sure. Imagine AI manipulating the auction house, driving up prices or flooding the market with cheap goods to undercut players.
It adds a whole new layer to think about. And it just shows how far-reaching these AI changes could be in Entropia Universe.
This is blowing my mind. Players aren't just thinking small. They're imagining a future where AI is like a core part of the game.
Transforming the way we play, the way we interact with each other.
And it's not just about making the game harder. It's about making it more immersive, more believable.
Creating a world that feels truly dynamic and unpredictable.
I'm already so impressed with the ideas we've talked about. But is there more?
Oh yeah, there's still more. Some players suggested integrating AI into player-run events. Others talked about using AI for personalized tutorials or training. And some even proposed AI companions.
AI companions. That's interesting. What would they do?
They could travel with you, offer advice, support, maybe even a little comic relief.
Like a little AI buddy?
Exactly.
Okay, I like that idea. But let's be real. How much of this is actually possible? We're talking about pretty advanced AI.
That's the question, isn't it? Implementing any of these ideas would be a huge undertaking for MindArc.
In terms of time, resources, expertise.
Absolutely. And even then, there's no guarantee it would work out the way players hope.
It's a gamble. They can put a lot of effort into it and end up with AI that's buggy, frustrating, just not fun.
Right. And that's why it's so important for them to really listen to what players want, what they're willing to accept.
It's a tough spot for MindArc. They want to push the envelope, innovate, but they also have to be practical. And they have to meet the expectations of the players.
It's a really interesting challenge, and I think a lot of people in the gaming industry are going to be watching to see what happens.
Okay, we've covered a lot. The good, the bad, the crazy, ambitious. But before we move on, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Out of all the suggestions we talked about, which ones really stand out to you?
That's a tough one. It is tough. There were so many great ideas. The Entropia Universe community, they're really creative.
They are.
But if I had to pick one, I think those AI-led dynamic quests, those are really fascinating to me. It could completely change how we experience stories and games.
Yeah, it's such a cool concept.
Right, having quests that actually react to your choices, that feel personalized and unpredictable. It's like, instead of just reading a book, you're having a conversation with the author, and the story changes based on what you say.
I love that analogy.
And it's not just about the story, either. Dynamic quests could even change how we think about rewards and progression. Imagine if the rewards you got were based on your playstyle, the choices you made.
Every decision would feel more important.
Exactly. Like, the game is rewarding you for thinking creatively, for playing your own way.
It could lead to a much more diverse player base, too. Different playstyles, all valid and encouraged.
Definitely. Now, I know we've been talking about the technical stuff, the challenges of making all this work, but let's, just for fun, let's imagine for a second. If MindArc really went all in on AI,
Yeah.
what kind of impact do you think that could have on Entropia Universe in the long run?
That's a great question. I think the possibilities are honestly kind of mind-blowing. AI could change everything about how the game is designed, played, experienced. We might even see a shift from static content
To more dynamic, procedurally generated world.
right, where the environment, the quests, even the characters, they're all constantly evolving based on what players do and how the AI interacts with everything.
It's not just about adding AI to the game, it's about AI actually shaping the game world.
Making it feel truly alive and responsive.
Exactly. And that could create a level of immersion, of unpredictability that we just haven't seen before in a game like this.
Imagine logging in one day and the entire political landscape is different because of something the AI factions did. Or you stumble upon a hidden quest that was created just for you.
Based on your play history.
It's exciting to think about. AI could bring back that sense of wonder and discovery that's missing from a lot of games these days.
I agree. But we should also be realistic. We're still pretty early on in all of this whole AI and gaming thing. There are going to be problems.
For sure. Challenges, maybe even some failures.
It's part of the process, but that's also what makes it so fishing. We're basically watching a new era of game development unfold, where the line between human creativity and artificial intelligence is getting blurrier and blurrier.
And it's all happening in Entropia Universe.
A game that's always been pushing boundaries, always innovating. It shows how much MindArc is willing to take risks, to try new things, and how much they value player feedback.
So to everyone listening, we want to hear from you. What kind of future do you see for Entropia Universe? How do you think AI should be used in games like this?
Join the conversation. Share your thoughts. Let your voice be heard. Because in Entropia Universe, the players really do have a say in how this virtual world evolves.
That's right. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.